So about a year ago, I did this video. It was a response to Wild We Roam no longer being vegan or just deciding to eat animal products. They hadn't actually eaten any yet after about 10 years being vegan. I talk a lot about homesteading and this link between homesteading and ex-veganism. Well, she just put out a video, her experience 1 year later eating animal products. I watched it thinking I'm probably not going to have much to say. I doubt I'll make a video on this. I have so much to say. She starts by saying basically that she never really ate healthy before going vegan.
I had been in like a high pressure tech sales job living in New York City. I was a recent college graduate, was drinking a ton of alcohol. I was eating a ton of processed food. I was drinking coffee. I had no connection to sourcing my food. I had no connection to health. Obviously my body felt better from going from like binge drinking, blackout drinking, eating absolute garbage, never working out, and then finding like yoga and veganism. 100%. Obviously I felt better, and I felt better for a long time.
And I think this is pretty common for any sort of like super restrictive or extreme diet. A few years ago, several years ago now, you had a lot of the low-fat, high-carb vegans, and they would talk about their weight loss and their skin cleared up. Like all these things happened after they started eating lots of fruit and limiting their fat intake, but many of them were coming from really unhealthy diets. So like making any change probably would have seen a big difference. You see the same thing with like keto. You're cutting out the sugary, fatty, salty foods. Yeah. Then she starts talking about what she ate while she was vegan. Kind of, it's still pretty vague, but she does say that before eating animal products, she was like constantly thinking about meat and eggs and cheese.
And I kept thinking about meat, and I kept thinking about eggs, and I was thinking about cheese. If you're feeling that inkling that your body is craving something, look into why that's happening and explore it.
Sometimes, right? Sometimes we're just wired to seek sugary, fatty, salty foods, right? If you're craving Oreos, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have like some sort of deficiency. But yeah, if you're craving lots of animal products, particularly if you've been vegan for as long as she had, almost 10 years, if it were me, I would be looking to increase my protein intake. Possibly fat intake as well. Maybe more umami flavors too. But to be clear, that's not what she did, right? She just went to meat.
It's like I remember when I was nursing Max all the time and I was eating vegan, like I for some reason just craved chocolate so much because I think I was just craving fat. And like I was eating the avocados, I was eating the coconut milk, but there's something different when you're eating like tons of pasture raised butter and ghee.
When I eat more protein and fat, particularly when I used to eat closer to like a low carb vegan diet, I definitely craved sweets less. I should probably go back to that maybe. So yeah, the implication that it's meat specifically, I'm very skeptical. I think it's protein and fat. I think it's nutrients, and you can get nutrients from lots of places. Or even more simply, just not having those foods anymore at all. It sounds like she doesn't keep like any processed foods in the house, certainly not any like chocolate, processed sweets or anything. And yeah, if you stop eating those foods and stop keeping them in your house, you're probably going to stop craving them. Or she just really craved sweet things and now she doesn't, and it has nothing to do with her diet change. That's possible as well.
The whole first year of Max's life, I was like insatiably hungry. Like I just ate, but the vegan food had so much fiber that I would like eat and I'd feel so physically full, but I would feel like not satiated, if you know what I mean. Like I would still want to eat more and more. And I would just feel so heavy and so full because I was eating so much food. Like my plate size was so big, but I just never felt satisfied. And then when we started eating meat, I was like, oh my gosh, I was ravenous. For the first probably month or two, I was just eating so much food, and then it finally quieted.
I've talked about this so many times. Yeah, for some people, eating a lot of fiber, which some vegan diets have like 100 grams of fiber or more, it can be really, really filling. And so you have to eat more frequently. And yeah, it can feel like you're just eating all the time. You're constantly hungry. Again, I don't think the answer is automatically meat and eggs and cheese. I think we can fix that in a vegan way. I don't eat 100 grams of protein a day. I eat like around 50, but I also don't eat high carb, low fat, which it seems like she was doing. I talked about in my other video, her What I Ate Today, that was low fat, high carb. It was pretty shit. So breakfast, we have oatmeal cooked in like water, right? No soy milk or anything like that, and fruit. And then for lunch, it's like a salad, potatoes and vegetables, basically, like no fat. And then basically the same thing for dinner. But yeah, she ate a balanced vegan diet.
I was eating a very well balanced vegan diet.
And even if she did, sometimes balanced, maybe that's not enough for you. We all are different in small ways, but in some ways, right? And some people might feel more satiated on even more protein than they like technically need to be healthy. I remember an account, I think it was on veganhealth.org, that Jack Norris shared, of someone talking about introducing vegan meats to their diet and how much better they felt, how much more satiated they felt. Wild We Roam, sorry, I'm not sure what her name is, but she might be one of those people, right, who just feels better on more protein. And you can certainly do that on a vegan diet. I assume, maybe it's not fair to make this assumption, but given everything she says in this video about how she eats, I assume she's very against like processed vegan stuff. So maybe she just did not even consider that an option, getting more protein that way. So it had to be straight to eggs and meat to keep it more natural, quote unquote, which sucks if true, you know, saying you'd rather kill animals than just eat some pea protein powder or TVP. Yeah, that sucks. So let's look at her diet now. And I would love to say I'm shocked, but I'm really not, given all of the things she said in her previous video. And again, the whole homesteading thing, I figured she was going to be eating lots of animal products.
When we gave up that label, I was like, I really am just gonna listen to my body and eat what I want to eat. Like no rules, like nobody else is gonna tell me like what to eat. Like I'm just gonna like feel it out within myself and then go from there. And it turns out that like I needed a lot of animal products. Like I eat animal products probably at every meal. Like this morning I had eggs, some leftover cauliflower, some leftover chicken heart and ground beef, and some raw cheese and some sauerkraut. So that would be like a standard breakfast, just like not so breakfasty. It's more like I would have stew for breakfast, like very high protein, high fat meal to like start off my day. And that's kind of like how I eat all day long.
Again, why we assume it's the meat specifically instead of just the fat and protein. It's frustrating.
Honestly, I would say it's like an animal-based diet because it's like I cook in animal fat. We have animal meat or animal products at every meal. Like unless it's a snack of like apple and almond butter or something like that, we don't even do that much. Honestly, usually I would put like some cheese out for that with Max.
She also uses the phrase ancestral.
An ancestral and animal-based diet.
Carnivore sort of thinking, right? She says we're designed to eat meat.
So for me, I'm like, this isn't an ethical thing anymore. Humans eat meat. We are designed to.
And I think she does mean that in a God way, because later she talks about praying before they eat.
We were sitting there and it was like the only thing that could be done before we sat down to like we started eating was that we prayed.
I don't know. I think if there were an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-benevolent being, I think they would want us to not harm animals, maybe.
And we eat raw cheese and raw dairy.
Fully in on the kind of like the Eric Berg stuff. I even talked about raw milk in that video and shared some like accounts of children being hurt by raw milk. As far as how she feels now, she doesn't talk about that a whole lot.
I feel like I can think clearly and I'm literally like, I don't know how I ate like that for so long. It's honestly like hard to put into words how much better I'm feeling. Just feeling like honestly just brighter. I feel more energized. I feel more creative. I feel more inspired. And I used to like scar really easily. Like my whole life had been like that. I think because I honestly wasn't eating any like collagen. Now I feel like my body heals so quickly. And I just think that's from like making a ton of meat stock, cooking a lot of meat with bones on it, and just eating a lot more collagen.
Protein plays a big role in healing. So again, like it's not necessarily the meat. And even though she feels better, she is unquestionably eating a worse diet, even worse than a low-fat, high-carb diet. She is eating so much more saturated fat.
Tons of pasture-raised butter.
And that's the thing about cardiovascular disease. You don't feel it until you're severely injured. So she can feel amazing and have all this energy and have significantly more plaque years down the line be very sick. Maybe not. Maybe she's one of the lucky ones. But to introduce that level of risk, it just makes no sense. But again, she's clearly bought into the animal products are like essential to being human. So of course, saturated fat can't be bad. She doesn't say that anywhere in the video. She doesn't talk about saturated fat.
Tons of pasture-raised butter.
Given how much she's eating and that she thinks this is healthy, it's pretty obvious she's not worried about saturated fat. So she talks about her child. She has a young son. Well, first she says that like vegan is a really intense way to live.
There aren't a lot of vegans who stop being vegan and then go back to veganism. And I think that that's because it's such an intense way to live and structure your life.
You know, I agree and I don't. I mean, first, it depends on the context, right? You can be in certain situations where you are constantly saying no to things, and I'm sure it can seem like really intense. Maybe the people you're around don't really help things. You know, maybe they're hostile to veganism, but sometimes doing the right thing is intense. I mean, that's not the word I would use, but involves saying no, involves restriction. She thinks for her child, that's wrong.
I just don't like give him processed food because I feel like if I give him that stuff, that it'll change his palate and shift it towards that. And this is not to say that I'm not going to control the way he eats as a grown kid. Even at birthday parties and play dates and stuff like that, I don't say, oh no, Max, you can't eat that. I don't want that in his brain. I want him to feel like he can go live his life.
I think certainly once kids get to a certain age, yeah, you can't really control them when they go out. You know, they have allowance, what they spend their money on. But also, I think it's important to instill, again, that like doing the right thing is sometimes hard, but we should still do it. So while my kids are young, like, yeah, we monitor what they eat when they're out. And also that's for their benefit too. I mean, my 8-year-old does not want to eat anything animal. I remember one time my mother-in-law gave us some like chocolate covered almonds or something. And the chocolate had like shellac, confectioner's glaze. And I said, like, it's not that big of a deal. If you want to eat them, you can. And they were like, no. So in their case, even if I was fine with them eating whatever when we were out, that wouldn't be respecting their wishes. My 5-year-old is just starting to understand things. My 2-year-old, of course, they're 2. The teachers know we're vegan at school and they've been terrific, always like consulting me just in case if they're not sure something is okay or not. It's really nice. But again, once they get older, I'm not going to be like, what would I even do? Like following them to a party and I don't know, calling their friends and saying, hey, snitch on your friend. I don't know. But yeah, I get what she's saying. You know, you don't want your child to feel like they're being left out. Certainly, I wish we lived in a vegan world. I wish we didn't have to look at the ingredients on everything. That would be wonderful, but we don't. And I don't know. I think it's really important to teach our children that sometimes doing the right thing means not participating in something. And hopefully that will help them in other areas. You know, hopefully when they get old enough to come across kids using drugs, you know, maybe they will already have that experience of saying no to their peers. And I'm not saying all this is like, this is how you should raise your children. Not at all. I mean, many of you know I'm not super keen on people raising their children vegan in the first place because I think people are very bad at nutrition, even basic nutrition.
Tons of pasture-raised butter.
So it makes me really uncomfortable, honestly. I think vegetarian is much easier, but I can fully understand a vegan parent being fully lax when even their small child like goes to a party or something and just saying, all right, whatever, you can eat the cake. Although I would worry about like digestive issues, right? If your kid eats no dairy and then they have like a milkshake or something at a friend's house, oh, that might not be fun.
I don't say, oh no, Max, you can't eat that. I don't want that in his brain. I want him to feel like he can go live his life.
Okay, I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me in trouble. I think parenting can make us kind of selfish. On the one hand, it can make us more empathetic towards other people, but on the other hand, it can make us like solely focused on our children and their happiness, and that's it. I don't want my kids to just live their life. I want them to be good people. Of course, I want them to be happy, but not at the expense of others. I don't want them to just be mindlessly happy and not care about the impact of their actions. That would make me really sad. Again, it's a tough thing. You know, we do control our kids' lives, but how much control, who knows the perfect amount, and it probably varies from kid to kid. And it is a little bit weird coming from her. Like, yes, she says when, you know, the kid goes out to a party or something, can eat cake or whatever, like processed food is there. But like, it sounds like she's feeding him a very restrictive diet, like just heavily animal-based liver and raw milk and stuff. Like, certainly she is controlling his diet more than other parents. We're vegan, and it sounds like we get a lot more variety in our diets.
What was best for my son was for me to feel energized, for me to have enough energy to take care of him, and for him to have food that fueled his growth, fueled his brain, gave him the building blocks to grow into a strong young man.
So again, implying that like a vegan diet can't do that. Well, yeah, if you're eating low fat, high carb, maybe not. By all accounts, a vegan diet done right is healthy for kids. They don't have any stature differences. And even if they did, even if there were a slight difference in height, to kill countless animals just so your child can be a centimeter taller, maybe. That's kind of what I'm talking about with parents just becoming so focused on themselves, like via their children, their progeny, at the expense of others. I don't want to say sickening. I don't want to make it seem like she's a bad person or anything. I mean, this is typical. This is how people view child rearing. They view what I'm saying as like, awful. Oh my God, of course you should feed your child animals if it means they could be a centimeter taller. It's sickening to me that that's the norm, that people view rearing children that way and just living life that way. It's very upsetting. The same with grown-ups. You say, oh, well, you know, they retain muscle or they gain muscle easier on animal products, so they're going to eat animal products. Really? You're going to kill other sentient beings just so you can be stronger? That should be viewed as crazy and very selfish.
It's not a useful feeling for me to eat meat and then feel guilt about eating that meat. I so long looked at eating animals as eating as murder. And then when I changed that and was like, I need this for sustenance, it's like morally not correct for me to not do what I need so that Max can have the mom that he deserves.
Certainly, if that's true, I've talked about like specific cases of people with severe food allergies where it's just really hard, if not impossible, to eat a varied vegan diet. Certainly, I would not want them to feel guilty, but her situation is a little bit different because she started eating animal products before she like needed them. She was just craving them and didn't want to be vegan anymore, wanted to, be part of the homesteading community. She had clearly already changed her views on eating animals and also needing them. There's just no evidence for that. She doesn't once say that she tried eating more protein, more fat on a vegan diet. She also says she sources her meat the best that she can.
We source everything around here. Some of it's a little bit further. To find the grass-fed, grass-finished stuff, I haven't found anything super close to us. I think the farm that I get everything from is 2.5 hours from here. Small family farm that's not certified organic, but they do all that kind of practices. They are regenerative, focused on regenerative meat.
Number one, for the environment. No, her diet is significantly worse for the environment, regardless where she gets her meat and eggs and cheese from. And in terms of ethics, animal welfare, even if the animals have a better life than your standard industrialized farming, maybe they have more space to roam around, they're actually seeing and feeling grass, they're still killed. And more often than not, they are killed in a slaughterhouse. They end up in the same horrible, horrible place as the factory farmed cows. Okay, let's get to oh boy, I just called this section gratitude, so you can probably guess what this is going to be. They started hunting a month after she decided to eat animal products. Her husband actually killed a deer.
I processed that deer. My dad came up and helped us process it, and that was a huge experience for our family. Really, really powerful. Yes, it's hunting is something that you feel all the emotions. I feel like when we kill an animal, it's not that I take it lightly. I think it's just going back to our roots of deep, deep gratitude for this animal's life and being all right with taking that energy and putting it into my body. It's not useful for me to feel all these negative emotions about eating this food because the way that the food comes into our body, the love that I cook this food with, the gratitude that I consume it with, that's nourishing my body too. So if I sit there and I eat this meat and I feel guilty about it, that's not honoring this animal's life. Like, this animal died so that I could eat. Like, we hold hands and we pray before our meal. We are grateful for what we've gotten.
As that shaman in the Christspiracy movie said, this is a justification. This is to make her feel better, and it's very convenient because we can't ask the animals. But I know for me, someone were going to kill me, but they told me, oh, but I'll have deep, deep gratitude and I won't feel guilty. So I'll honor your life. That's not good enough.
It's really, really powerful. And it's like, it weirdly makes me feel even more connected to animals than I ever was from veganism, where I feel is like, death is bad. I'm not a part of the system. I'm separating myself from everything. And now I feel like I am enmeshed in the land. Like, I am grateful for all of it. And I also, you see so much more death when you're living on a homestead. A chicken dies or different things like that happen. And I feel like before I could just be completely removed from life and death. And I feel like also as I'm getting older, like death becomes more a part of your life. People die, animals die, we eat animals. Like, the birth and death cycle is a part of life.
Yeah, we get used to situations, even fairly horrific situations, even ones filled with unnecessary harm, unnecessary death. It's necessary for our brains to do that. It's like a coping mechanism. It's really hard to live in a situation that's sad all the time. It's much easier if we go, oh, this isn't sad. It's fine, actually.
And I think that for me before, I almost wanted to like push it away and be like, I'm not a part of that.
Now, for me, having animals most of my life, I do now enjoy not having any pets. I enjoy a fur-free home, but that is not the norm. Many vegans and vegetarians say they stopped eating meat, stopped eating animal products because of their experience with animals, often, dogs and cats, and then seeing the connection between dogs and cats and cows and chickens and that they're all the same. Often our ethics is shaped by our experience with animals. And many vegans go to farm sanctuaries. They regularly interact with cows and pigs and chickens and goats. But even if you don't, the reality, you've seen the footage, and instead of turning away from it, you've decided not to participate, not to harm animals. This is kind of a coping mechanism too. It helps her feel better about the whole thing. To view us vegans as just totally out of touch. If only we could experience the circle of life, then we know that killing animals so that we can feel brighter is good, actually. She ends the video talking about her husband, Lou. He is also shifted to an animal-based diet. He likes the hunting.
The hunting experiences he has had have been so profound, and just he got a bow this year and practicing with the bow has been so empowering for him. I feel like it's really beautiful.
She actually says that he has like masculine energy.
Me becoming a mother has like really pushed me into my femininity. I feel like for him becoming a father did the same thing with his masculine energy, and then hunting just makes that even bigger, and all this construction work, and we've just really pushed into the poles of our energies and are really enjoying that feeling.
So again, I'm getting the homesteading, like trad wife vibes. You can't fit in to that group and be vegan, especially a vegan man. What are you, gay?
The other thing for him is that I feel like he's been able to put on muscle a lot easier, is what he told me to tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure they're eating like significantly more protein, of course. She talks about his rheumatoid arthritis and that it got significantly better using subconscious reprogramming.
Lou did a lot of subconscious reprogramming around his rheumatoid arthritis, and that, I honestly think that was the biggest catalyst, not food. Yes, lifestyle plays a part in inflammation in the body. Clearly, it definitely is something, but your mind is so powerful.
Sounds woo-woo, but the mind does play a large role in pain, so it's not impossible that he could try something, particularly if he believes it's really going to work, and see a reduction in pain. But it's possible diet plays a role. Again, elimination diets. Sometimes there are food triggers for even arthritis flare-ups. You get rid of those foods, you feel better. It doesn't mean the meat is actually helpful.
And I mean, it's like Freya's the healthiest of us all, and all she eats is meat. So I feel like she was like a sign to be like, this is the food that will give you strength, because this girl is fit.
I'm gonna assume she's joking there.
I trust you to trust your own intuition on what you need. Like, this is just my experience, and I have no desire at all to tell people what they should be eating. I think that was like a huge part of the vegan thing for me, was like I needed everybody to know this, and if you only knew this, then you would eat this way. And I just have no desire to be a part of that anymore.
This seems like a small thing, but I don't know. I think it's pretty important. She says that was a big part of her veganism, telling people, to be vegan and telling them what to eat, what not to eat. And I think it's hard for people to separate those two things, to not be super vigilant about veganism and be vegan, but you certainly can be. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You can just be an ethical vegan. Live your life and not comment on what other people do. That's totally possible. I would guess most vegans do that, but I suspect it's more than that. I suspect it's the act itself, right? Going so against the grain, feeling like you are rejecting other people all the time, and maybe you actually are, right? They're offering you food and you say no, feeling like you're making them, feel bad by your dietary choices. I talk about nutrition a lot, but I think the society aspect of a vegan diet plays just as large, if not a larger role, because ultimately this comes down to her decision to eat animal products again without even trying to make a vegan diet work. Why? Because she wants to fit in. She wants to fit in with the homesteading trad wife stuff. It's almost always societal pressure. To end on a positive note, I feel really, really good. I would say this is the best I've felt. Oh my gosh, I don't know, in years. Number one, I haven't been pregnant for more than 2 years. That might have helped. Number two, my back. I mean, I think that's the main thing, even more than pregnancy, is that my back is so good. I'm not in constant pain anymore. I can flex, like turn your hips up and in without pain, no pain whatsoever. That's crazy. And I think that's why I don't need naps every day. I mean, I can probably count on one hand the number of naps I've had this entire year. Maybe a few more than that. Maybe 10. That's crazy. I used to have a nap almost every single day. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm kind of sleepy. It was like, I can't focus. I'm trying to work and I need to sleep right now. I'm more active throughout the day. I don't spend 15 minutes cleaning and then I have to lay down because of my back. I sit most of the time I'm working, and then, I go get the kids, and I'm basically up until 8 o'clock at night when the kids are put to bed and I get to lay down and play video games or watch a movie or whatever. I'm up cleaning and cooking and playing with the kids without any pain. It's great. I know this has nothing to do with veganism. I haven't changed anything. I don't know. It's not amazing, but it is. I can get up 5:50 every morning. Well, every weekday. I don't set an alarm on Saturday and Sunday. Let the kids wake me up. But I can get up at 5:50 and work out and shower and get the kids up, get them breakfast, get them ready for school, go to work. And it's fine. I have the energy to do that. Man. Anyway, I have a video talking about what I did to fix my back, and my back has been better now for years. The only time it's gotten worse is when I have fucked up, basically. I haven't been walking enough, or I started stretching again, stretching my back. That honestly, I think is the worst thing, which sounds crazy, but man, for me, it fucks my back. Child's pose? No, ma'am. Never again. Anyway, you can check out that video if you're interested. Yeah, what can you say? Being vegan in a non-vegan world is not easy. You have to be weird sometimes, and people just don't like doing that. And, you have to know about nutrition, and you have to plan your meals sometimes, and people don't like doing that either. They would rather just eat liver and raw cheese. What? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you're having a good day. I was going to talk about the election, but no, it sucked. Yeah, it sucked. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. Please do like and subscribe. And of course, thank you so much to my members and my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. They support the channel. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 members and patrons. I just posted my first one for November, my vlog one, and then I'll do another one that's a controversial topic. And I do that every month. That's it for me. Thanks, guys. New video soon.